Ladies and gentlemen, we are live, on tape, for this very incredible freaking episode of PD's Awesome Guest Panel, episode 59. And this is no ordinary episode. This is Villains Appreciation, part 2. Now, before we meet tonight's guest stars tonight, I just want to do say a couple of things. First of all, I would like to dedicate this episode to the memories of the late great Grant McFarlane and Bob Pappenbrook, who played Lothor and Deviant on Power Rangers Ninja Storm and Lost Galaxy, respectively. And before we meet tonight's guest stars, let me just say that not only are my guest stars Power Ranger legends, but they are also, I have 2 Fox Kids legends and 1 Disney legend, which I'm going to explain later on in the show. Now then, for tonight's guest stars, it's huge blockbuster names. And once again, I am not referring to this. Because even though as a kid growing up in the 90s, that was pretty awesome, I'm talking about the 3 women that are the personification of charisma, high energy, colorful personality, empowerment on screen for their love for fashion, as well as off screen for being hardworking mothers with passions for life that stretch around the room. And enough for me babbling. Let's meet tonight's guest stars. Who do we got first?
First?
Anybody?
Who's first? Okay, I'm Amy Roll, and I played Trakina on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy.
Okay. And I'm Kat Brown. Hi. I played Capri on Power Rangers Ninja Storm.
And I'm Kate Sheldon. I played Nadira on Power Rangers Time Force.
Awesome. And ladies, it is so awesome to see you 3 again and have you back on the show. Like, I forgot to add 2 more things to add to the resume for you lovely legendary ladies. And that is inspirational and influential, especially on this old boy. And of course, and most importantly, some of my favorite people in the world. I do have a first question though, ladies, and that is, were you 3 a fan of the Power Rangers series prior to getting your roles? And if not, how did you hear about it?
Okay. In New Zealand, so I live in New Zealand, we didn't have, I think the first couple of episodes of Mighty Morphin played, and then it got banned because they thought it was too violent for children. So I never watched those. So it was completely something I'd never, ever, ever heard of. And yeah, just so not part of New Zealand culture. So I didn't hear about it until I got the audition, and that was the first time I heard about it. And had a quick Google and realized that it wasn't just this, I've done lots of work with Hercules and Xena and stuff, and I just thought it was, another American show coming in. I didn't realize it was such a well-established part of television history. So I found out on the spot. Excuse me, sorry.
I had heard about it for years. It's definitely an internationally well-known kids show, but I didn't know that's what I was auditioning for when I went, and was really surprised when I found out.
I had heard of Power Rangers. I had not seen it, but my oldest daughter was a very little girl, toddler, and she had a friend who was a boy. And of course, his mom had told me, hey, listen, do me a favor. If you're ever out in the stores and you ever see a white Power Ranger, please buy as many of them as you can, and I will reimburse you for that. So I was already on the lookout for the Tommy toy before I even knew anything about the show, just for a little friend of ours. So I didn't know anything except I knew that that was the toy and that everybody wanted it, and I never saw one. So that was in the probably mid 90s. And then when I moved to LA and the Saban ban was lifted by Screen Actors Guild, because when I first got to LA, we received letters, if you were in Screen Actors Guild, not to audition for Saban because he wasn't playing by the Screen Actors Guild rules. But they did lift that. He made a special deal with Screen Actors Guild for children's programming. And then we were allowed to do auditions. And sure enough, I got an audition.
Awesome.
And I went.
That's awesome. Now, I always wondered this too, like if you ladies could a Power Ranger though, of any color though, I mean, like if you could be any color of the Power Rangers, what would it be?
I would say pink, not because I know anything about pink Power Rangers. I mean, the ones that I know are near and dear to my heart, Valerie and Catherine, but, and really all of them that I've met, but still, just as a kid growing up and even as an adult, I love pink. So getting to wear pink all the time would be awesome.
Cool.
Pink for me too. In fact, Aaron Cahill, the Pink Ranger on Time Force, and I often talked about swapping costumes one morning and fooling everybody because we kind of look alike and we're the same size.
That would be so
awesome. We threatened everybody all the time, but you know how long it takes to be in hair and makeup and everything. We thought if it didn't quite work out, man, if we put the production behind schedule by 2 hours, we would be up the creek.
But it would have been a wonderful prank to talk about forever.
Yes, we wish we would have done it.
I love it.
I think that I would have said pink just because Capri was pink. That was I wore pink the whole time. But I actually think green. I would have liked to have been the first girl Green Ranger. I think that would have been cool. Yeah, I think I would have liked to have been green. And I also loved the Green Ranger in my show, Cam. So I think, not loved, although Amy, you fell in love and got married.
To a Green Ranger, yes.
To a Green Ranger. So I'm literally telling your life story.
No, it's fine.
Wasn't the same. But not quite the same relationship.
It's fine.
I had a fake romance with the Green Ranger on my series. It was fake. I was just using him to get to his robot.
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Kate, it's so funny you said that because that actually happened in Ninja Storm 2 when we had the Beevil episode and Myra was trying to use the Yellow Ranger, who was the male, Dustin, and it wound up, being a plan, a trick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did that.
Yep.
So diabolical. I love it.
Now, I'm curious, ladies. I'm curious about this one too because. Kat, you took part in the Ninja Storm Dino Thunder crossover. Kate, you took part in 2 crossovers. You took part in the Lightspeed and the Wild Force one. And Amy, even though the Chikina character technically did do 2 crossovers, I don't count that other one because first of all,
I was only there for 1.
Yep, and you're the only Chikina I know, and nothing against Jennifer Burns, but
thank you.
You're the only one. I mean, that's like having Freddy Krueger and not having Robert Englund.
Right. Yeah.
No way.
I don't even know what that means.
Which means that my question is that what were your thoughts on shooting your respective crossover episodes? For Kat, for you was Thunderstorms Part 1 and 2. Kate, for you was Time for Lightspeed and Reinforcement from the Future. And for you, Amy, it was To the 10th Power.
Well, it was really cool to meet until that episode, I hadn't met other Rangers from other casts. So for me, I mean, maybe 1 or 2 had showed up to the studios or on set or something and said, oh, he was, the Blue Ranger last season or something like that, or just kind of casually in passing. But that was the first time I'd met like a lot of former Rangers from another cast. And until I would say my first convention when I met a lot of Rangers from, it was Morphicon. No, it wasn't Morphicon, but that's probably the first one where I met a lot of Rangers from different casts. But yeah, the Power of 10 was the first time to meet like just people that I'd only heard their names before. So that was cool. Knew something special was happening. And the fans, of course, love crossovers, I think, more than anything. So they always remember those episodes.
I see. What about you, Kat, Kate?
Kat. Yeah, I remember feeling like you, Amy. I didn't really know any, because we were the first time when Disney took it over, and not me, I did nothing. I just rocked up on the days. But they'd set up the whole Power Rangers franchise in New Zealand, so we were very, very new to the whole thing. The shooting style, everything was such a foreign concept for Kiwi actors and Kiwi crews. But I actually, so we'd set up it was a studio called Studio West, and we'd set up out there, and I'd filmed other shows there, but it felt like my place. And then these strangers came in. It was, I felt a little bit protective, and I was like, God, the crew have made new friends, and it's all changed. But Emma Lahana, who played, what color was she? Pete? She was yellow.
I think she was yellow.
She was yellow, yeah. So I knew her, but it was really funny being back in this studio with everybody. It was great. It was grand. And as you said, Amy, the fans love the crossovers. And it's always funny. I did a scene where we saw the Mara character. Pete, you know this so much better than I do. But we're standing there, and she's like, "Oh, isn't she pretty?" And when she saw herself and her other character, because Katrina Devine Girls played another character in the next series, and yeah, so it was loads of fun. The crossovers are a gas. It was nice to go back for a little bit.
I see.
I remember being completely surprised when all the Rangers from the previous year showed up on the set, and they were total pros and had all this professionalism. It was awesome to see them and hear their stories. And also the 2 locations we had for our 2 crossovers were both places we'd never been, really unusual. One was a factory that was in Long Beach, and it was immense, and it was obviously vacated and hadn't been used in a long time. And it was something you'd see out of a kind of Mad Max Meets the Future place. So that was fun. And the other location was the subway underground under LA.
In LA?
Yes, I didn't even know there was a subway.
I did know it, but it's it's not someplace you go very often. So that was a great place. That's cool.
Yeah, we got to wear masks, of course, but they had to pump air down so we could breathe in our little bubble area. And the ground was covered in rubble and stuff that had just fallen off the, I guess the ceiling. I guess it was about 80 years old. And cool. It was fascinating to be in there. And so
very cool.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, that is.
What is your cat's name, by the way?
That is Cosmo. Yeah, I have 2, and you have one too.
This is handsome. I have 2 also.
Who is that?
Are we doing pet appreciation day?
Yes, where are the turtles? Bring out the turtles.
I would have to.
Every villain has to have a cat to stroke, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I love it. Hang on. Oh, he ran away. Mine ran away.
I'll get you a cat too. That'll be awesome.
I was trying to, but he ran away. I also have 3 dogs in here watching me.
Oh, yeah,
if he comes back, I'll grab him and we can do a screenshot.
When we're done recording, I'll bring them on camera briefly because I got
the turtles.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, if he doesn't come back, maybe his brother will. They look exactly alike, you guys. They could be stunt doubles for each other. You wouldn't know them apart.
Fabulous.
This question is for Kat and Kate. Since you both have played the protagonist and antagonist, though, which role did you prefer playing? I think I know the answer.
I'd much rather play the bad girl every time. Every time.
It's more fun. We have better clothes, better lines.
Yeah.
And Pink Ranger always says, I want to be you because you have the best lines and the best clothes.
Can I say, ladies, you, all 3 of you, when I was a young boy, scared the piss out of me. and bless you for that, because
thank you.
Because I've actually found you 3 women far more intimidating, far more fearsome than Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees combined. I was never afraid of some dude in a hockey mask. I was afraid of someone that can not only annihilate you on a physicality level, but someone that can also outwit you too. And all 3 of you play characters. Man, if charisma was a committee, all 3 of you would be chairwomen of the committee.
Thank you.
Amy and Kat, did you have the experience when people would come to the set to meet people and then they'd be freaked out when they saw you and they'd run and they'd cringe and they'd hide?
Yeah. Or little kids, like if someone would say, oh, she's on Power Rangers. And you think, they think they're meeting, like they're going to meet a Pink Ranger or a Yellow Ranger. And technically they're meeting their worst nightmare, because to a certain level, they buy in and believe it, when they're really young. So, and then they're like, oh, and they want to hide behind somebody, oh no, it's her. Yes.
It's interesting you brought that up, Amy, because I had a funny, depends how you take it though. Like Carol Hoyt, who played Diva Tox and Demetria on Power Rangers Turbo, played both the villain and the protagonist. So and she told a story about how like one time she had a birthday party for her kids, and then their kids were like, oh my god, his mom is Diva Tox. Did any of you ladies ever had like that thing where your kids were like, my mom played this ultimate badass villain? Yeah, that's my mom.
Yeah, I had even though so when I had my children, so I did Power Rangers when I was 27, and then I had kids by, I don't know, 31, I think I might have had my first child. So when he first went to school, there was a fight in the playground, and one of the kids did, it literally was my dad will beat your dad because he's actually a cop, and well, my dad will do this. And then my little one went, my mum's a Power Ranger. He got it wrong because I'm not a Power Ranger, I'm an evil space villain, but my mum's a Power Ranger, and she's just going to come down in a spaceship, and she's just going to get everybody. And so he went on, and all these kids were just like, yeah, you win. You win. Yeah, so.
Definitely better. We're
way better, so much cooler.
Yeah. I did have the experience of once I wasn't recognizable. I didn't look like this on the show. You know, my hair was all up. I was half alien, whatever. But one time I was in a toy store and shopping for Christmas for my daughter, who was about 4 or 5 at the time. And this little boy was standing at the end of the aisle. It was a little black boy. And I was with Reggie. And, you know, all the little black kids wanted to be like him. All the Asian kids want to be like Archie, you know, whatever. So, and all the girls want to be like Serena or Valerie. So he's standing there looking, and he's staring. It's a doll aisle. It's all toys and carriages and bottles and all doll accessories. And he stares and he says, after staring for a few minutes, Damon Henderson. And then he shakes his head and he's really disgusted. And he goes, can't believe you're with Trakina. And Reggie's really good about catching, you know, like in the moment and playing it up. And so he's like, shh, I got her right where I want her. Be quiet, you know, like, don't give away my cover or whatever. And so he went and talked to the kid kind of on the side or whatever. And I don't know what he told him, but the kid was satisfied after that. Not to believe that he was fraternizing with the enemy, you know, that he was on a mission and that it was a secret and he wasn't betraying his Power Ranger, you know, good side. But that's the only time like a little kid recognized me in person as Trakina. And I had nothing, we weren't anywhere near Power Rangers. We were in the Beverly Center, you know, in a toy store. So that was the only time that ever happened. Otherwise than someone introducing me as like, oh, this is girl from Power Rangers, or she played, you know, she was on the show. That kid totally figured it out on his own.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of fun though.
Sometimes people would recognize the voice, but they couldn't put the picture because we wouldn't have the wig on or all the makeup. So that would be common to be recognized voice-wise. But my daughter in kindergarten was telling the kids who her mom was, and no one believed because I was the one who was doing the dishes and cleaning up and driving carpool, and they just didn't believe until Halloween, and I showed up in costume and character, and they all freaked out and ran and screamed, and then I had to go take the makeup off and get on the regular mom clothes. But I left the eyelashes and the red gemstones on, and they were really scared.
I can pull it out of the closet at any time, kids.
Yeah.
Behave.
Is it safe to say, I think everyone's going to be in agreement in this one though, do you think that, you know, they had an episode in Wild Force called Forever Red where every Red Ranger from each respective Power Ranger seasons teamed up to take on the bad guy of that season? Do you ladies believe that there should have been a Villains Forever, Forever Villains special? 100%.
100%.
They couldn't have managed us. That's why they never did it.
It would have been so fun. It would have been so fun. And I hear that from fans all the time that they wanted it. So I don't know why they never did it.
Yeah, like imagine like, you know, just Trakina, Myra Capri, Nadira teaming up. I mean, you heard of the Dream Team. Well, they're the mean but fashionable team.
Right?
It would have been fun.
Yeah, like
I can't imagine.
It was. And I mean, and like if they won, theoretically, if the villains won though, I can definitely see a parody that of all of you doing a parody of that song. You ladies heard the song We Are the World, right?
Oh yeah.
I could see with the giant headphones, like instead of saying you'd be like, we are the bad, we are the villains, we are the ones that make a dark. Well, let's start chaos.
I love it. I love it. That would be good.
Pitch it.
Let's do it.
I don't know why. I'm still down. I'm always down for a villains, Forever Villains episode. Always.
Yeah.
You always nailed your part though. Like I can remember for each character, 3 particular scenes that were like so intimidating, like, and just could scare the piss out of anybody though. Like for you, Amy, it was when you fused with Deviant and you had those creepy eyes, like, and then when you ask if you're okay, you're like, I'm okay, but Deviant's not. And that was that one.
It was pretty dark for a kid's show. I have to admit, I was even a little bit taken aback when I read the script. I was like, what, this is getting a little unhinged, but fans love it. So I'm glad they did that with the character. It was unexpected that they took it as far as they did, but I like it in hindsight.
And even Kat, when Capri, when she did the Megazord, like when you were like, and you gave this intense glare. If looks could kill, the Rangers would be dead by now. When you gave this look, you were like, you go into the camera, you go, so you ready to toast these teenagers? Like Clint Eastwood. You were ready to do it. You're like Clint Eastwood.
She really thought she had it at that time. She really thought that she had it.
And of course, Kate, I'll never forget that face you made when the episode with Dash, though, when you turned them bad and you had the sword. Oh, that was good. I do want to ask this too, and it's gonna be a funny question though. Like, when I'm not on a strict, like almost military diet, I'm a huge foodie, and I know Power Rangers is a big production company. So I was just curious to know what the catering scene was like for your respective seasons. And also to add a little minus question, did you have a particular favorite meal or snack at catering?
Catering was probably the worst part of my whole involvement with Power Rangers, besides the contacts that you just mentioned, which I was literally going crazy wearing those for the last 6 weeks of shooting or whatever. But the catering, it was easy to stay slim and trim on Power Rangers because the food was horrible. There was no favorite food. I literally go in my room and sleep. And I'm like Mikey from the commercial. We're like, give it to Mikey. He'll eat anything. That's me. Normally, I'll eat anything. I've got a cast iron stomach, whatever. I like pretty much everything. Not that. So sorry to disappoint, but it was 0 stars. 0 stars. I'm not kidding. No exaggeration.
Wow, it sounds bad.
It was horrible. Horrible.
5-star experience. All the food was amazing and the chefs knew what I wanted and just handed it out. And there was one time we got food poisoning though. We were shooting in Commerce City. I don't know if you guys ever shot
the whole
there.
crew, everybody?
Everybody. And it was short-lived. We all ate lunch. We all threw up. We all got back to work. It was awful.
Oh, wow. And you kept on going. I love it.
It wasn't our usual caterer, though. It was someone in a food truck because they couldn't get our caterer to go in, maybe who knows why. But
right.
It was
permit or something.
But, you're hungry, you're starved, you'll eat anything at the point of the day. And the usual craft guy wasn't there. And so we were just like diving into the food and then we're all just hurling. It was horrific.
Awful.
It could have been an episode in itself, though.
Oh, yeah. But normally I would have for breakfast, have coconut waffles and Canadian bacon and carrot juice and a donut with chocolate frosting on it. And it was always the best. Lunch, dinner, it was great.
Make me hungry.
Yeah, yours sounds great. Yours not so much, Amy. Our catering was great. It was a craft service team that I worked with before. Amazing. I'm vegan, so they have been for a very long time. So they just looked after me beautifully. So I had a good experience too. Sorry, Amy.
I know, terrible.
No worries. Memories of filming I believe this was the first episode for all 3 of your seasons. And that is for you, Amy, that was the Quasar Quest Part 1 and 2. Kate, for you was Force from the Future. And of course, Kat, for you was Prelude to the Storm.
Yes, memories of it.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember so much about the very first episode.
Would you like me to read it to you?
Would you give me a refresher, please?
I just help you out there, Amy. No, I'm joking. I did read about your stuff. I
seriously want to get that book. I'm not even kidding.
Me too. I really want that book now.
So this is a great book. It's amazing. It's got lots of things that pull out. Oh, this is our one. Lots of things that pull out.
Where did you get it?
Yeah, where did you?
I was doing a convention in Australia, and they were for sale there. But so it's every series. It's got backstage, a whole lot of backstage stuff, interviews that I didn't even realize that we'd done.
That was about 6
That's what I'm
years
saying.
ago.
I don't remember all these little nuances and details, so I need that for
this exact moment. Yeah.
Yes, for this kind of stuff. But it's also very cool just to have it all in one place.
Your space. Whose space?
No, I'm Lost Galaxy.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, so it's so cool because it actually gives like a really cool interior set design stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like
That is cool. I'm impressed. I love it.
Me
They
too.
were writing it about, what was it, 6 or 7 years ago, and then they sent letters to everybody. Maybe they just didn't have everyone's address, but they sent letters and asked for photos, stories, and such. So, did you submit anything to it?
did I know? But are there quotes from me? Yes.
And they sent
Someone else
emails
said
me
this.
that-
I'm not sure that I ever had that conversation, but you know what? It was a long time ago. Maybe I did. I just can't.
Was that when they did the? Was that when they did the DVD? You know, like when they did the complete sets of the DVDs. Was that at the same
I
time?
don't have those.
I do have those, but this is cool. I mean, it's cool to have those, but I'd like to have both.
That
This
book
is
is
an
really,
independent.
really cool, and it's
That was about 7 years ago.
So I only got that at a convention last year. I'd never seen it before, so.
I need to shop more at conventions instead of just sit there. So you've inspired
Like,
me.
yeah, that's true. Spend some of the money. I
Yes,
think they actually gave. I think they actually gave it to me there, but I can't remember.
Fans have the coolest things. They have the coolest things that they bring around for you to, like, people to sign. Have you ever seen like the Power Ranger? It's like a giant Red Ranger head. And inside you can put all the videos and like sometimes you can put the little characters inside. It's
Amy,
really cool.
Amy, can I show you something like later?
Sure.
Like, I have a relic myself.
Let me see.
It's on my shelf right now. Like when we're done filming, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna grab it.
Okay.
All
right.
But yeah, like the first episodes for your respective seasons, ladies. Yeah, Amy, it was Quasar Quest Part 1, 8, or
Yes.
and nice one.
Oh, sweetheart.
I remember the first day of filming, they had put a helmet on my head that was a little tight, and they kept shaving it to make it fit because my face was turning blue. And anyways, I didn't, and they, you know, like the contact lenses and all the other things. It was really interesting to have that. And I found out that the first AD was placing bets with people about how long they would keep the helmet on before my eyes, you know, would blow up or something. They were turning red. It was super tight, but they figured out. They just kept shaving. They were shaving the stunt double's helmet, not mine. And then finally, I put on the stunt double's helmet. I was like, oh, I can breathe now.
I can breathe.
Yeah. Then they just switched me to a wig after that. Thank goodness, most of the time.
So it was just a move for practical purposes. You went from the helmet to the wig.
I never asked them. I just was so relieved. I always thank them. Please, thank you. I just don't want to wear this helmet anymore.
Well, because that happened with my costume too. I had a different costume originally. That was it might have been in the original. It's where, you know, the magician and I think Tretron was the like henchman that I was working with on that one.
Yep.
And I had the green exterior. It's like a thick, they called it like the bug uniform or whatever, but it was so stiff and immobile. I couldn't like run in it. I couldn't move very easily. It was a really thick, like rubber.
I read about you saying that in this book this morning. Sorry, but I remember you saying, and it said you said it was really hard to move it. Yeah.
It was hard to move around in it. The process of having it made was extremely cool. I was so impressed and just so fascinated by the process. The same guy that made the Batman costumes made them. And it was just a very cool to watch his whole process of art, you know, of doing it, and then like the actual way that it happens, and you know, going in for fittings and things like that. It was very cool to see the development of it. But his name is Steve Wang, by the way, Creature Creator on Instagram, and he's still doing it. And like when you walk through the halls of the building where he was, it was up near the sound stages. You could see all these recognizable, you know, from Alien and all these cool costumes of things that you recognize from other franchises that Steve had created. So it was very cool to be part of that, but then they just scrapped it and gave me this black cat suit because I couldn't move around in that. And I wore the other thing the whole time for like the next year and a half.
Did you guys go to Mr. O's also for any costume fittings?
I didn't.
It was kind of what you're describing, the long hallway with the Hall of Fame of all these famous actors, but it was more tailored clothing, and the little cheerleader skirt that Nadira wore, had to go and get it tweaked there. But I remember walking in. That's when I felt rich and famous for the first time.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God, look where I am. Yeah, that was really cool. It's probably in there now. yours. Like you could
Maybe.
be one of the figurines in there now, you know, that's kind of cool. If it's even still there, I don't know, but that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
I see. And of course, memories of shooting your respective season finales. Amy, Journey's End, Kate, End of Time, and of course, Kat, Storm Before the Calm.
It really seemed like the end of the world in ours. It was End of Time 1, 2, and 3, and people were flocking to the sets because it was all outdoor exteriors with in suburbs and in cities, and there was explosions and smoke and debris everywhere, and people thought maybe something really had happened because we were all scuffed up and marked up and everything, and it was for real. It felt like that.
That's kind of how it was with ours. There was a part 1, 2, and 3. I wasn't there for all of it because, like I said, the green thing that they made for me originally, it kind of went into the closet and didn't really come out until the finale. And they end up, even though it had to be like custom made to me and all that kind of stuff, I had to do a body mold and all that kind of stuff. My stunt double was about 8 inches shorter than me. And they ended up modifying the green costume to fit her. And she was in it most of the time. I wasn't even, like, I would be on, you know, B unit and she was on A or whatever, vice versa. And she was wearing that and I was somewhere shooting the other stuff with the black one on. But in a lot of those scenes, I wasn't even there. It was her. So
Was it Eileen? Brunette Eileen? Was that your son?
Yeah, Eileen. Yeah. Was she your son double too?
She's about 8 inches shorter than me too. And she's tiny and she was really good at fight scenes. So she was awesome to have.
She was amazing, but the costume was way too big. So they ended up cutting a ton of the torso and the legs off to make it fit her perfectly. And so the face is completely covered. And so she was in there, not me, on a lot of the scenes. So I don't 100% remember, but some of the stuff I do remember sounds very much like your experience with the kind of Armageddon feeling and the downtown shoots and stuff like that with smoke and fire and brimstone everywhere.
The stunt doubles were so amazing. I ended up working out with them at the LA Valley College just so I have no background in martial arts or fighting, but and Eileen invited me to one of those. And then I went, it was every Wednesday night, and huge gauntlet, 50-foot mat, wires and weapons. And that's where I learned, because they didn't train the villainesses on set like they trained the Rangers. Or did they train you guys?
They trained me, yeah.
Oh, they did? Okay.
We just did little choreography, like in between with the stunt guys. They would be like, come here. And then literally like, you know, for 10 minutes before we would shoot the scene, we would practice choreography. So, you know, I wouldn't get kicked in the face or something. And they did all the work. And then I just kind of, you know, did a few moves or whatever, and came out looking like, you know, a star or whatever. So it was them doing all the tumbling and, you know, coming down off of buildings and cool things like that. And I was just kind of like, you know, I was standing in the middle, making it look like I was doing something, but I didn't go anywhere for training. It was just all done like in the parking lot right before.
Wow. We had the Alpha team. So were they your stunt crew? No.
Yes, they were. Yes. The Alpha team was.
So they came out and we did 3 weeks of, God, I think it was 6 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
All the Rangers, all the villains. And we trained and we had 1 5-minute break. And they were great, like they were amazing. And they'd go out and they'd smoke 27 cigarettes. They just smoked so much. And
continuously, yeah, for years.
Yeah. And that was amazing. It was really hardcore. And so we were trained then in just general martial arts, lots of stretching and stuff, lots of tumbling, wire work.
Wow.
And what did I do? I jumped in and out of frames, but that's it.
Oh, okay.
The other thing I can say about the finale on our show is my character was supposedly unraveling at the end. And from the moment that I put the contacts in, they told me at the optometrist, they showed me how to do it. But, you know, I wore these like 7-inch long fingernails it was makeup. It was really dirty and not really, you know, like okay to put in contacts and take them out during the day. And they tell me only wear these maximum of 4 hours at a time. because the inside, like there's a little clear circle in the middle because there's no, there's nothing there to obscure your vision. But then the outside part was like yellow and with red veins and all this kind of like, creepy looking stuff on it. But the way it works is like your eye is a little bit like a digital camera and it's always trying to focus, but it's got this little stuff on the outside. So I was literally getting like migraines for like 6 weeks. I was losing my mind because I put them in when I got there at 4:30 in the morning, and we had Roseanne and Jolie were my makeup artist, and they were like, we don't know how to do that. And I was like, they told me you guys do this all the time at the optometrist. And they're like, no, I don't even wear contacts personally. So I have no idea how to do it. So I was literally stuck with those in my eyes for like 14 hours a day. Okay. And I had the worst headache. So as my character was unraveling, so was I. I was losing my mind in real life, and I was in pain and stuff like that. So it was very easy for me to do what my character was supposed to be doing there at the end. So I remember that part very well too. It wasn't just, it took about 6 weeks for that part to be filmed, from the time you mentioned that scene where I merged with Deviant until the end.
Of course, I want to get your thoughts, ladies. I base this on prior interviews I've done with you, and that is your favorite respective episode. I believe, Amy, you told me yours was Heir to the Throne. Kate, you told me yours was Movie Madness, and Kat, you told me that yours was I Love Lothar. Thoughts?
I loved Heir to the Throne because it was the point in the storyline where my character went from, I started off, I wasn't cast as a main villain. I was cast as a recurring character. And my dad, dear old dad, was supposed to be the main character, the main villain for that season, but he was too cumbersome to move around. He was like a 400-pound animatronic puppet that took about 8 guys to operate, with these like, I don't know, like levers and like buttons behind the wall. And so when we would go on set and off the sound stages to like a location, he was very difficult to move around. So they decided after doing it once or twice just to kill him and make me the main villain, because I could just drive myself there and walk from the car to set. And so that's how, Scorpius, it was supposed to be him, but it ended up being me. So yeah, that was actually very cool. And I don't know, it was interesting how it's another thing, just like your hat and the mask, or your hat and the wig, and my costume, the green one and the black one, end up becoming, it's like, what's more practical? What makes more sense here? And they go with the easier thing or the more practical thing. Just, you don't know until you start doing it. But that was my favorite episode, was when they made me like, they sort of tied all those loose ends and made me look like I actually was a really cool warrior.
That awesome Rocky parody.
Yes, it was cool. It was fun. It was hard to shoot, but it was fun. And it came out great. So I'm happy they did it.
So Movie Madness was my favorite episode, and we got to film at an old Western ranch. I think it was Roy Rogers Melody Ranch. Have you guys ever been there before?
Yes, we shot there.
I think they probably kind of reused the same scenes a lot.
It was very cool.
Yes, dream come true. I got to start a barroom brawl and bust through the saloon doors. And
yes, we did that. We did it.
It was so the funnest scene, with all the fighting and all the legit cowboys who showed up with their legit sunburn and their duster coats and the horses. And it was awesome.
I can't believe that's just out there all the time. That, you know what I mean? Like, it's just there waiting for people to come and film. It's very cool. And I always look for it now too, when I see commercials or other movies that are set in a Western. I'm like, hey, is that it? Is that Melody Ranch? Or Vasquez Rocks? Like, you see it in so many commercials and things like that. It's really cool to see those locations that we shot Power Rangers in, as like locations in other productions, even commercials nowadays. I still see them.
I love Lothar. I love Grant McFarland, or loved him when he was still with us. Also, it's directed by a really great director, Andrew Merrifield, who is the husband of the lady who was head makeup, and he's just such a great guy. And the food fight was fun. You gotta love a food fight. The food fight was fun. I loved because my character got to be different characters in every episode when she was in disguise. I loved the punk rock girl she was cool as. It was a great fun episode. Kat and I, Katrina Devine, if you girls don't know, so Katrina Devine and Katrina Brown, we play sisters, and we couldn't have had more fun.
I loved your delivery, Kat, in that scene where, like you said, this is the potion. We're gonna get one of the Rangers. They're gonna help us. They're gonna help us take off Earth. Uncle is happy, and I get a boyfriend in the process.
Yeah, that's right. I love how you remember all the lines and just tell me.
I know, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that was good fun.
It sounds like you had a lot of fun, more fun than I did. You had better food, you got drunk. I mean, there's all
I know. Why weren't you on my show? We could have had so much fun.
We need to have a meetup show.
Why did we not have a crossover between the freaking Golden Girls of the Post-Zordon ever?
I know. That would have been great. Hey, you got the ideas.
Three have a favorite monster in your respective season. For me, Amy, yours was always Freaky Tiki. Yep, I love Freaky Tiki. I thought it was he was awesome. And for you, Kate, I loved Mirakon. And for you, Kat, I loved because I thought this. Yes, Bopperoo, Boxing Bopperoo. That was my favorite one.
Yeah.
But what was your favorite?
Favorite.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go.
My favorite, the way he looked was Deviant. And then that's the one I got to merge with. So I got some really cool costume elements from him. But Villamax, like the arm gun, I thought was really cool. Like I got to have an arm gun after I came out of the cocoon. But Villamax had a really cool storyline, and there was kind of like a unspoken like love affair between us. Like we liked each other or whatever. And then before I killed him, but so seeing his character's like tenderness and his soft side was kind of cool. You know what I mean? Up until a certain point before I
finished.
So those are my two favorites for those reasons.
I loved, and I know he wasn't a monster in the sense that would come in an episode. He was always there, but Chubu, because he was comic relief with Mara and Capri. He was bumbly. Also, the guy who was in his suit was a stunty called Daniel Andrews. Lives just down the road. Really, really great. He's gone on to do great things with his stunty work. But he was great fun to be with. And that character, we the three of us, Mara, Capri, and good old Tubes, and us, we hung out a lot and we all got on really well. So I love being with him.
Well, I loved Mirakon. He was sassy and talked back to Nadira, so I got to engage in the verbal fun. But I loved also Mantomobile, the master car thief, because I like to be in cars. And he was really fun to mess with. And then the other, Dash, was another villain that was human, and he morphed from a mutant to a human. He was very cute. But probably the funnest one was run by the stunt guys, and it was this demonic baby that was a head attached to the body, and he took the head off, and it was a baby with long like octopus arms. And it's when I held a school bus full of children hostage, and every time they pulled the head off of this gross mutant thing, the kids were freaking out, and they had him on puppet wires, and he was running around too. It was like floating. It was really funny to work with him too.
That sounds awesome.
Before I ask the next question, though, I just forgot to mention too, with the first episode, though, I remember each of your first lines from each series. For you, Amy, it was, "Well, Father, looks like you found yourself a mighty worthy general." And for you, Kate, it was, "You'll be the one needing the ambulance." And yes. And Kat, your first lines were, I mean, like Kate and Amy's, was basically a vicious one, and that was trash everyone. Kelzax, trash everyone.
Oh, right, trash. Yeah, trash them all.
Now, memories of working with your respective fathers / uncles. For Amy, for you, it would have to be Kim Strauss, who voiced Scorpius. For you, Kat, it was the late, great Grant McFarlane. And of course, Kate, for you, it was Vernon Wells.
Vernon was like my mentor. He was a coach. He'd been in over 100 major motion pictures and TV series, and it was amazing. He was the go-to and it was just so much fun to act with him and try different things out. And he was a master. He is a master. He's alive and well and still rocking it.
Awesome.
Grant, bless him, was a divine man. Katrina and I just adored him. We spent a lot of time together. He's a very, very calm man. He's more like Sensei than Lothar, that's for sure. Very calm, really clever, cerebrally really pleasing. He's so bright, so articulate, and a really gentle man. So, who loved to sing? I don't know. Katrina Devine. Working with Cat and Cat, he must have been, if he wasn't bald, he would have pulled his hair out, because he was working with the two of us. It would have been full on for him, and he just took it all in his stride and laughed and was the kindest, most gentle man. I adore him. Really clever too. Super, super clever. So it's really sad when he passed away.
It was.
Well, my situation is completely different than these two. When I worked with the puppet, with Scorpius, it was just movements with, you know, someone reading from off the side, oh, you know, Trakina, blah, 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 or whatever. And then it was done in voiceover, you know, like in ADR afterwards, in post-production they would put, so I don't actually know the person, I never met him or saw him, that actually voiced my father's voice. And I remember the first time I actually saw an episode, I was like a little bit shocked that that's what it sounded like, you know what I mean? And the same thing with all the monsters that I worked with, because I worked with all the stunt guys. So when I would do a scene with one of them, like say Kegler or Villamax or Deviot, they would read their lines to me in Japanese. And
Right.
I would say my lines back to them in English. So that the timing was okay, but then they would substitute the voice actors' voices in post-production. So I didn't know what Deviot's voice, I didn't know what Villamax's voice, or even Scorpius's voice, or Kegler, any of those were going to sound like, until I actually saw the show, because every scene I did was half in English and half in Japanese.
I see.
So it was a little different process.
I still want to bring it up then, like, so the contacts, awful, costume you couldn't move in, food was shit, and you didn't even have someone to work with.
And I only had people to talk to me in Japanese, respond to me. It was very different. So would you want to trade with me?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it was, maybe they were still like figuring stuff out. I have no idea. Because I think my season was earlier than both of yours. So I don't know, maybe they were still refining stuff, or just like learning as they went along or something. I don't know, but it was very, and then when I got to work with a ranger, it was usually one ranger per episode. And so I would love it, because then I could talk to somebody, you know, like in between.
English, and actually have a conversation in between scenes.
Yeah, and we had a couple of stunt guys. We had 2 stunt guys that were American that worked with Alp Stunts team. So of course I got to talk to them too. Yeah. Ed and Danny. I don't know if you guys had the same too.
Yeah, Danny, TJ, Luke, Ruben.
No, we only had Ed and Danny that were American guys. The rest were all Japanese guys. So if I did a scene with one of those guys inside the costumes, of course they would do it, but it was rare. Usually they were not hidden inside a costume. They were one of the soldiers or something where you could see their face. So it was a little different. But yeah, mine was strange.
Let me just say too, before I ask the next question, that we are more than halfway through the show, and let me just say this show is so far going on a roll that having that, because my 3 guest stars tonight are so legendary, so iconic, so divine, that having Amy, Kat, and Kate on this show, and I say this without any hyperboles, is a million times better than having anybody from the Cleveland Browns, and also watching an episode of Young Sheldon. I'm sorry, I had to do that. I had another one too. I was gonna say too that I had this amazing sushi roll with brown rice while watching a marathon of Young Sheldon.
We're better than sushi roll. Yes.
You see what I did there? I used your last.
I saw. I saw it. Very cute.
Thank you. Now, what did you have a particular scene or line where you're like, man, this is cool?
Can I do the anti of that?
Please.
When I had to have spiders crawling over me, freaking huge spiders. So
real ones?
Anti-call. That was when the producer called me one night. She said, listen, Kat, our characters were facing their fears. What was the Eye of the Storm, was it? I don't know, I can't remember.
Oh yeah, Eye of the Storm.
And the producer rang me and said, look, Kat, your character's facing her fears. We're thinking that she should be scared of spiders. And how do you feel about that? We're gonna in the movie Arachnophobia, it's the same spiders they use, like big spiders. And they said, how do you feel about this? Katrina, we're asking Katrina too, and we both want you guys to be facing your fear of having spiders crawling at you. And so I thought that they'd said, that Kat had said yes. So I said, okay, if she says yes, well, I'm not going to leave her on her own. As it turns out, she said no. And it was just me who had spiders crawling all over me. And it was freaking awful. I came out in a stress rash. They were crawling over my face, legs in my mouth. That wasn't cool. That wasn't cool. And like my makeup artist, she refused to go on set. She said, no. I hate spiders. I can't even be on set. So yeah, I remember thinking that's infinitely uncool. But I'm glad I did it in the past. Now that
wow. Kudos to you for commitment. I mean, seriously.
Mine is
I don't have it in me.
Bag for letting me. So I rocked up set and she said, you said yes? And I said, yeah, because you did. She said, no, I said no. Why would I?
But you didn't know you could. You didn't know you could say no.
I didn't know that no was an option.
See, that seems like something that would happen to me, but I don't know if I have that in me. I would just die.
It was
Just
horrible.
pass away.
No acting required. Don't now look scared. I was like, okay. Yeah. And then at one stage, the spider wrangler called Cut because two of them went up on my shoulder. One was here and one was here, and they went to have a fight. And so he had to call Cut, and I was going, this sucks. This sucks. Yes. Anyway, next.
How much therapy did you have to have after that?
Yeah, no, still having it. It was awful. I've done rats. I've done paddle crabs crawling over my body, snakes, but just the spider was gross.
Yeah. They move so quickly.
No, stop it. Anyway, you guys hit me with something that was nice.
Think of a specific scene where I actually thought this is awesome at the time. I don't know. You remember so much more than I do, Petey. You probably like.
Well, I'll tell you one scene that had me like younger. I was like scared shitless of it, but when I rewatch it though, again, let me just say this: rewatching all three of your seasons, I go in as a Power Ranger fan, but at the end of watching all of your seasons, I found myself being a villain sympathizer for each of you. No, my favorite scene is when you grab that fly, you ate it, and then Kegler goes, you know, that could have been one of your relatives, and then you just spotted by felt in his face. I was like, man, that's vicious.
That was good. Yeah. See, I forgot about that. I forget until you remind me.
And there's so many other scenes, like when you gave that scene, like, you know, in the crossover episode, you're like, man, I'll go down in history. I'm like, what are you talking about? You already are, like, Amy, like, Trakina's already going to be in history, and so is Myra Caprice, so is Nadira, so is everything. And I'm going to explain that in, you know, just a minute, though, but just the characters are just so freaking cool, though. Like, Kat, I remember in the Wild Wipeout when you were Capri Rainbow Chaser.
Oh, shit, yeah. Yeah, I love that. That was fun.
That was awesome.
I think I want to say I might have been drinking at that time too.
And Kate, like, just delivery, like when Rancid goes, you know what? You have everything in the world. What could you possibly want more of? You're like, true, but there's one thing I don't have: romance. Like, I just delivery, like, and it's amazing how all three of you play these very dangerous, vile villains, but off screen, I can honestly say, getting to know all three of you, if angels or saints could walk this earth, that would explain you three.
Petey, I have been homeschooling now for 11 weeks. We're in the lockdown again, so in New Zealand, so 11 weeks without not being able to go out. I am so far away from an angel.
Right.
11 weeks of homeschooling 3 freaking kids.
Don't ask my children that. Their opinion.
Yeah.
And also,
I am not a school teacher, it appears.
I'm sorry you guys are in serious lockdown again. I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Auckland, we're in proper lockdown in Auckland, have been since August. Hopefully we're going to be out for Christmas.
Yes.
That's it. But all homeschooling, no bars, shops, no retail, nothing. And just 3 boys at home the whole time.
24/7. Wow.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Kat.
Send wine. Send wine. I'll give you my address.
Send wine.
Send wine.
White wine or red?
I don't care.
Probably
Both.
Just all of it, both.
the best wine comes from New Zealand, from Marlborough.
Get that down.
It does. The wine is great. I've got through a lot of it this lockdown.
Right.
This is water. This is water, but give it another hour or 2 and it will be wine.
Don't do
Weekend.
If you need me to do that, you don't even have to ask, Kat. You don't have to ask.
Lockdowns are hard. Lockdowns are just tough. And it's tough for the kids. God, it's tough for the kids. They don't go to school. There's no normalcy.
I know.
Yeah, it's tough.
And I have some interesting connections between all 3 of your seasons. I was able to make connections between, like, Lost Galaxy, Time Force, Ninja Storm, and Ninja Storm and Lost Galaxy, if you would like to hear it.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, for Lost Galaxy and Time Force, Amy and Kate, you both had the father-daughter dynamic. You both had the long fingernails, those claws. And also, they repeated this joke too in both of your seasons when you guys, when you ladies broke a nail and they said, "Well, you have 8 left." They actually said that in both your seasons. And Heir to the Throne and To Something for Fight for your respective episodes, both had a Ranger killed in the season. You had Jason Font killed in Time Force, and then you had, of course, Valerie Vernon that was killed in Lost Galaxy. You also had a parody. I don't know, like, if the series was a fan of Snow White, but I see a lot of Snow White parodies in Lost Galaxy and Time Force, and that is when you both look at the mirror in Stolen Beauty, Amy. When you
Yeah.
and then again, later with you, Kate, when you looked in the mirror, and then Miracon, you said, "Mirror, mirror, on the wall, who is the most fabulous one of them all?" And then Miracon, of course, unfortunately, both Miracon and Crom Yummy gave the wrong answer. And
Right.
there's that old saying, "Hell have no fury like a woman's scorn."
Right.
And why would you do that? I mean, I say this in a half jokingly rhetorical way. Why would you do that? Have you seen these ladies' repertoire of destruction? And also both grew up without a mother figure.
The big mystery. Who is Trakeena's mother? Yes.
And now here's the connection I was able to make with you, Kat and Kate's. I have that paper down.
Pink hair.
Well, pink hair. Also fashionistas. Both. Amy, I'm gonna throw this to you also. Like, all 3 characters are like, yeah, I'm bad, but you know what? Doesn't mean I have a personality outside the layer, Like, I just think that, like, the characters are, like, so, so charismatic. It brings the realism to Power Rangers, though. I feel like all 3 of you brought realism to Power Rangers. Instead of it's like, oh, rule the world, take over, Turtle Damnation. It's more like, yeah, we're going to do that, but you know what? Let's have a little fun while we're doing this stuff.
And look good while we do it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And of course, Amy and Kat, your connections, well, there's the Rocky parody for both your series. I mean, when you had the boxing club with Box and Baparu. Hey, and you know what? And one thing also connection to Amy and Kat is that it paid off dividends. You were able to fend off the Rangers.
Absolutely.
Then also I think for all 3 of you, there was the intros for each show was very unique though. Like, Amy, yours starts with a fanfare. Kat, yours is basically a storytelling thing where it's like deep in the mountains. Our academies are training our future protectors. And of course, for you, Kate, it was more like a high, fast pace, like time force. So that was cool. Each have like some kind of like movie reference though. Like mentioned before, Lost Galaxy and Ninja Storm had Rocky, and of course, for Time Force, you had like westerns with Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, like, and also Mad Max because Vernon Wells was just so good in that.
Yes.
Also, they want life. They're all 3 characters are very fashionable. They all have a lifestyle outside the lair. Just naming some connections here. And the cool part about all your seasons, and that's why I consider you 3 legends, many reasons. first of all, Amy, you are not only first ever villain of the post-Zordon era, but you're also the first female evil leader of the post-Zordon era, the first one to not turn good, like the other ones have. You paved the way for other villains like Myra, Capri, Rancic, Mesogod, Vipra, Nadira, all of them, Lothor. And for you, your season is actually the very last season for the Saban era, like the last full season of Saban era, before Wild Force was half Saban, half Disney. So, and it was also like that interesting like dynamic where like like all the Rangers are from the future, like the thing takes place in the future. And for you, Kat, like your like your accolades are basically you and Katrina Devine are the only evil sister Power Ranger duo in history. You're the only ones that have a niece uncle related bond, and your season was also the first season to be filmed in New Zealand and under the Disney umbrella, which and technically, since ABC is owned by Disney, that technically makes you a Disney legend.
Yeah. I should have my own theme ride at Disneyland. This should be just that, you know?
I agree.
And there's three things that boggle my mind. One is that how in the world did Myra and Capri never got a spin-off show? So entertaining, so good. The other thing I wondered myself was how in the world was there never, I mean, you ladies are familiar with the those escape rooms?
Yeah.
Yes.
How in the world was there never an escape room, a Power Rangers escape room where like the villains lock up the guests, I mean, the people playing the game, and you have to save the world, save the Rangers by solving all the riddles and puzzles. Like for Amy, for you, like they could have had easily a puzzle where like Trakina wanted them to fix her Zord, fix her ship, and then you pass it, but then she tricks you and she goes, "Hello, I'm evil. I lied." And then you have to solve another puzzle. And then for you, Kate, for your puzzle, it would probably be like, okay, you're trying to set her up with a date with the Blue Ranger. How are you going to do that? Like by solving the puzzles. And of course, Kat, for you. And then you open up the next door. The next door has Myra Capri in it. And this is the final part of the puzzle where like you have to determine like, you know, if you really know Myra and Capri, like what are some of their favorite stuff? And also, if you had to do it, put together in a puzzle form, like take all the words and form the song Ninja Space Girls with Attitude.
Yeah, and then you have to sing it.
And you have to sing. Well, I have no problem singing that, and that's what we're gonna do later on. We'll save that for later on. But yeah, like, and also, Kat, I forgot to mention too. You're the only, you and Katrina Vine are the only villains in Power Ranger history to have the scenes with the sword fight in Down and Dirty where it wasn't Sentai footage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I thought that was cool. Like, cause like every time you see like the Zord, like, and I could be wrong on this, ladies. You know more than me, like, since you worked on things. But was the sword the Megazord fights usually like Sentai footage?
Yeah, it was on my show.
Yeah,
and to see Kat Brown and Katrina Devine doing these scenes, first of all, like they nearly, and here's another connection I could make between you two, Amy and Kat, is that you both have a history with Megazords. I mean, Amy, you sent Suicide Stingwinger bombers to destroy 2 of them, and Kat, you had 3 Zords at your mercy.
Yeah, all powerful.
Yes, and I remember each scene though. I remember Amy when the Stingwingers blew the Zords up. My expression as a kid was like this.
You were frightened. Yeah. It's the end. It's the beginning of the end.
It was bad enough. I'm terrified of you already, like back then, but now you destroyed the Zords. And Kat, when I watched this with my cousin, with the Megazord fight, and I had you when you had them at your mercy. I remember I was eating my Burger King Whopper at the time, and I remember like you ladies know like those TV trays, like those wooden trays, like you could eat on. Okay, yeah. So we're watching the episode. I think this was Saturday like afternoon on ABC. And I remember when Capri took down one of the Zords in really good villain fashion. I remember I was about to take a bite out of my Whopper, and then I saw like the Zord go down. I was like, slowly putting my Whopper down and just watching. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be something. This would be, because much like Michael Jackson's Thrillers, you 3 were scary as you were entertaining. And also the connection too between Amy and Kat is that while I was fearing you, Amy, as Trakina in 1999, I was equally fearing, and this actually aired on the same day, fearing a powerhouse performance of Kat Brown doing Hela in Young Hercules.
Oh yeah.
And that episode, Kat, A Wicked Good Time, actually aired the very same day as the Lost Galaxy episode Grunchor on the Loose.
Wow.
Yep. Figure that one out.
Young Hercules, or was that Big Hercules? That was grown-up Hercules, wasn't it? Was Hercules.
Was it Legacy Journeys?
It was Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, I think. Young Hercules. Just like to say, girls, I worked with Ryan Gosling and we played boyfriend and girlfriend.
Just saying.
I just dropped that in there.
And my
when I was with Ryan Gosling. I mean, it was my character, but we could just loosely say it was me.
And Kate,
right.
And Kate, I want to say too, based on what I read, is that Nadir is the only villain to actually date and marry a Power Ranger.
Did I really marry him?
They end that into an open ended. So people are saying they actually got married in the end of Wildfuss. Yeah, like
it looked that way. Yes.
It's just how much like the legacy like of all three of you. That's why like if there was a Hall of Fame of villains wing, I'd say put these three ladies in like in the first class. They have contributed so much to the Power Ranger franchise. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And like just the delivery of lines though, like in all the episodes, like and I could see like, you know, your respective characters, like somebody going, how was your movie, by the way? I missed it. And then you go to them, you're like, oh, mine went straight to DVD just like yours. or some kind of, they were so sharp as attack though, like so good, so funny. Like Kat, I remember when you said to Zurgane, you're like, zip it, Zurgane. Oh wait, you don't have a mouth. I forgot.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. Like all three of these seasons, and also just interesting about all your seasons too is that for all those years, it's a very particular year because in 1999, that's when Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace came out for you, Amy. Kate, for you, it was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and for you, Kat, it was Lord of the Rings. I mean, all three different main franchises were big things back in 1999, 2001, and 2003.
Very cool.
Yeah, and
for sci-fi fans.
Oh, absolutely. I thought like just, yeah, like, you know, like all three of you just nailed the role. I mean, I could give you a phone book. I'm like, here, make this entertaining. Yeah. Also, just you had so many great lines too. Like, you know, Kate, like you one of my favorite lines you did was, you know, with, and I'll never forget this too, because I'm going to actually share this. I get like, you know, I'll share it, but the line was, after you see Gluto and he's on a date with you, you have this look like, why? And then you're like, I'm desperate, but I'm not that desperate. And then I got that same exact vibe when I heard Kat Brown after Totally Talented when her award was rescinded. By the way, I still think that Myra Capri should have won that show. That's just my
Totally.
Yeah. And when you said, wait, these are our real voices. Wait a minute. If we can't win, nobody does.
Oh, we can. Yeah.
And that's when you zap the MC. And Amy, I will never forget when you saw I forgot what it was. I think it was when you saw Sean for the first time, and you're like, wow, 4 Rangers and a washed-up astronomer. Man, this is surely gonna be a good day.
Yeah.
Just the delivery. Oh man, like but yeah, like, you know, and I did have a couple more questions though. Like, did you have any creative input like on what you could say or do, or even like the costume that you were wearing?
If I could have had creative input on my costume, I wouldn't have been wearing that costume. Would not have had undies on the outside. But yes, as far as the character went, Kat and I got to ad-lib loads, rejig. It was they basically gave us a carte blanche. After an episode, they realized that we worked really well together. But it's not really hard when you have to work every day with your best friends. So they basically would just say, this is what we've written, what do you guys want to say? We invented actual words and changed scenes. We were really lucky. And that wasn't the same for anybody else in the show. It was just what happened for Kat and I. So we had a lot of input, huge input. And we actually did get, Disney spoke to us about a spin-off. So Amara and Capricia, it was going to happen for a while. So they talked about it.
Wow.
Yeah. Just because the characters gelled really well and worked really well off each other. So yeah, I got loads. What about you, Amy? Did you have any input? I'm waiting for a win from you.
No.
Of
Zero input on the costume, zero input on the scenes. So
okay, good. Yeah. No, so
totally different experience once again. But yeah, I do love hearing the difference though, like how they did it. I don't know. I think after hearing you guys tell your stories, I feel like they were still, you know, figuring stuff out. I really do think that, and seeing what worked best and stuff like that. But I mean, it's a cool experience. It's a cool thing to look back on. But yeah, I do think some of the things that they were just, you know, maybe they just perfected it over the years. You know, this show's been in production so long that maybe they just now, you know, figured it out. So it took a while longer. So it took from 99 to 01 or whatever for them to get it down to like a science. But no, I didn't have any input.
I too had zero input. It sounds like my series was just 2 years after yours, Amy. And oh, there's the doggy.
Oh, so cute.
Adorable.
So yeah, we didn't have any creative license on anything, except for we got into a habit, Vernon and I, my evil father, of doing big evil laughing, extended laughing things at the end of our scenes, like a la Austin Powers. And then the crew would start laughing and everyone would be belly laughing and they'd cut. But sometimes the laughing would go on for 5 minutes and it was hysterical with various levels of crazy laughter. That's the only line.
You made that, it became like your little thing. That's cute.
It was our shtick, yes. They showed it a couple different times, but it went on and on. It just took too much time from the series that I think they cut it out after maybe 5 or 6 episodes.
I feel like enough already, guys.
Okay, it's not fun.
That's cute.
And I apologize. I have to take off. I had for a previous arrangement that I have to go to. So I need to
I do as well.
I was going to have to wrap up soon because I've got kids who need to be fed.
Sure. Kat, did you want to do that thing or no?
All right, if you want to do it, I think that you're going to lead this.
I never learned.
This is going to make your day.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, so Kate, Amy, we're going to do, Amy, you saw the clip already. We're going to do a thing. I'm not Katrina Devine. I'm no Myra, but let's give it a shot.
This is the legit hat from the actual show. So.
And I just,
oh, wow.
It's like 20 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, this is not at all embarrassing. Off you go, Petey.
Very cute at a rakish angle. Oh!
Right?
Ready?
I love it.
Yes. Okay.
All right, here we
You
go.
play music?
Yep. Here we go.
The action.
This is a total honor, by the way. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, listen to me, baby.
Baby, don't you know?
Psychedelic ninja from an evil
UFO.
Get this party started. I wanna be your girl. Oh,
don't you know I love you? Got the moves.
Wow, words.
I wanna be your space girl, yeah. In your space girl, without a trace girl, ace girl.
I wanna be your space girl. Yeah.
There's the words.
Your space girl. You come on over
to another galaxy. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you actually even have the moves. Petey, you're amazing.
I studied those.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Now, before you ladies go, though, Kat, you're still wearing it. I want to pay my respect. Let me just say this, ladies, that this was a fun episode, though. Not only can I thank you, I know this is not necessarily Morphicon or Comic-Con, though, but I'm going to say what I wanted to say, and that is, I want to say thank you for not only those memories you gave me growing up as a longtime fan of Power Rangers, but man, thank you for coming on the show, though. If I was at those conventions, I would say thank you. I was there for every moment, though. I was there, Kate, when you had your date with the Blue Ranger. I was there, Amy, when you nearly stole the beauty of every woman of Terra Ventra and destroyed 2 Megazords. I was there, Kat, for every single Master of the Skies moment that you did, as well as nearly conquering Blue Bay Harbor. And the fact is, and also, ladies, this is the final part of the segment. This is an open forum. You ladies know exactly how this works, and that is this. You could say anything you like. The floor is yours, ladies. Talk.
I just want to thank you for getting us together in this format. And it feels, you know, kind of fun to sit down with my peers here from the show and kind of get to know them a little bit, because I didn't before. And so I just want to thank you for that opportunity. And I've really enjoyed it, girls.
Yeah.
Yes, let's do it again. This was fun.
Please, let's do. I enjoyed it immensely.
And fingers crossed we get to travel. I mean, I know you guys have your worlds opened up a lot more than mine, but I'm really hoping that PMC can go ahead next year. And that if it does, well, it will go ahead, and that I can get there and actually give you guys a hug in the flesh. But I think that for me, what I just like to say is to people, be kind, because we're going through a really part where everyone's getting very tense in Auckland, especially now. So just a little bit more kindness in the world would be a good thing. And wine.
I agree.
And wine.
Kate?
Thank you so much for bringing us together. It was a true joy. I loved getting to know everybody and look forward to talking again. And it's been super fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And before we conclude, let me just say that, you know, and Kat, I actually owe you $8 in the made up word jar, because I came up with some names that are not in that dictionary, and that was the words braggadocious and Klinkenheimer. For instance, it was braggadocious of me to ask my girlfriend to be a dear and fetch my Klinkenheimer for me. And the fact is that Amy and Kate, I'm going to channel my inner Kat Brown in a minute. I want to say that I've been a fan of yours, Amy and Kate, when I was that 9 and 11-year-old lad munching on Lunchables, drinking blueberry Kool-Aid. That way, when people said, "Wait, were you drinking the Kool-Aid?" I was like, "As a matter of fact, I was." A blueberry. Kat, I was a fan of yours when I was that teenage lad growing up, starting 6th grade, munching down on Burger King Whoppers while drinking my afternoon Pepsi. See what I did there? And also that I've been a fan of yours since I was, you know, like, Ninja Storm came out when I was 13, so it's kind of like 13 going on 30, but in this case it's more like 13 going on 31. You just gotta switch that 1 and 3 around.
You just switch that?
Gotta switch.
I like it.
And also, lastly, ladies, thank you. This was a total honor. Made my day. I thought this was the main event. I thought this was the episode that I was so excited, looking forward to, and probably the best one I've done so far. And to end it all off, I'm just gonna say, well, I'm not gonna say it, I'm just gonna chant it, and that is, thank you, Amy. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Kate. Because, and remember this too, you'll always have my loyalty, not just as a fan, but as a friend too. And another thing you can add on to your list of things, you ladies are like the Golden Girls. I just don't know who's the B. Arthur, Betty White, Rue McCannacan, and Estelle Getty. And that, yeah, just that, I'm just gonna simply say that all 3 of you are just awesome.
Thanks for bringing us together, Pete.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.